Hello, this is Abby.
Dear Abby, this is gonna be a long one.
Oh boy.
Dear Abbey, how do you tell the difference between a new exciting crush and a rebound?
Does it matter?
Dear Abby.
Dear Abbey.
Dear Abby.
Welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is the Dear Abby podcast. I hope you stay and hang out with us. See you in a sec. Welcome back to another episode of Dear Abby. I am your host. My name is Abby. Welcome back. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. It's Thursday. That means Friday's tomorrow. Or maybe you're listening to this on another day. Don't care. You should have listened to it on Thursday. Makes my ratings look better. I'm kidding. Today has been a bit of a calm day. It's been kind of nice and chilled today. My brain has been okay. I've been okay. I'm pretty tired right now, but I've also had insomnia again this week. I don't know if it's necessarily insomnia. I just haven't gotten good sleep. Yeah, today has just been like a good day. It's just been chill. I'm very happy with that. I have maybe mentioned this before, but I've been doing a lot better mentally and also emotionally from my divorce and just OCD and everything like that. And so, yeah, it's just felt good because it's been a long time since, but that stuff is really hard to move on from. And that's why I started the podcast, was to just kind of talk about my journey of healing and, things that I'm experiencing, good things, bad things. It has been really intense, and not that nothing ever feels intense anymore, because it definitely does, but I've just felt more stability in my life, and that's been kind of uncomfortable in a weird way because it's been so hectic, and I've kind of thrived in the hecticness of my life. People definitely cope with life events in different ways. For me, I just worked a ton. I just was grinding away at a million different side projects that hopefully will make me money someday. So I'm just in this phase of just grinding my gears. Is that what it's called? Burnout, basically, which is what we're talking about today. But I feel like right after my divorce and when I started to feel better with OCD, I just became like a worker bee. And I didn't ever feel like I had burnout. Like, I genuinely would work such long hours, and I'd work until late at night, and I would be laser focused. Like, my focus was impeccable for a while right after, because I got so motivated to do good, honestly, and like make the money back. Today has been a really chill day. It's been calm. My brain has been pretty mushy but calm. I've had a couple of OCD type thoughts, urges, feelings, sensations. I've had a lot of physical OCD, which I've never really had before, like health and somatic. So I notice every time I swallow, sometimes it fixates on blinking. Now that I'm talking about it, now I'm going to focus on my blinking, but I don't care. So what if I get stuck looking at the inside of my eyelids for the rest of my life? Sometimes, just so everyone knows, some of the weird thoughts with somatic, I don't know if this is somatic, but whatever it is, I just think, what if I never stop noticing my eyes blinking and that's all I can see? And then I start to feel weird. I'm doing exposures for that, so I'll take a couple of times every day to notice it on purpose and to bring attention to it without trying to be like, oh my gosh, what does it feel like? What did it feel like before I notice this? Is this how it always has felt? Do I always blink this much? Does it always feel this? Like, I don't know. It's just without trying to figure anything out about it, and just be like, maybe I'm gonna get stuck like this and it's never gonna go away. I do not know. But yeah, some of the weird things that I think about are, this is gonna be really weird, but and really specific, so bear with me. One of them is weird. So hopefully if you're gonna get triggered by this and you don't have tools, maybe skip over like 2 minutes or something. I don't want to trigger anyone and have them start focusing on things. But for me, I focus on when I close my eyes, I'm like, oh my gosh, when you close your eyes are still open technically, but your eyelids are just closed. You're just over your eyes. And I think about that a lot when I close my eyes. And then I get this image of me staring at myself. It's actually horrifying. Another one is This is really weird. Sometimes I feel as though I haven't burped everything out, but it's to the point where I'm thinking about it way more than normal. Like I think about it for probably an hour to 2 hours a day. And that could also be with going to the bathroom. I want to feel completely like everything's emptied out of both burps and down below. It's really weird, and I know it's weird, and I've had to do exposure work for just maybe I have gas and it's just boiling up inside of my body, and I'm never going to relieve all of that pressure because it's more so, I don't know, it's weird stuff like that. So it ranges from that to, oh my gosh, I can never close my eyes technically, and then to every single sound and every little tiny sensation in my body is like I'm laser focused on it. But I'm doing exposure work for that, and it's really not that bad anymore. I think if this was at the beginning, it would be pretty bad, but I'm not super concerned with it just because I know how to deal with that stuff. I just wanted to say some of the weird stuff. So, really fast. Well, first, we're going to talk about burnout. And yeah, we're going to talk about burnout today. And then I'm going to do dubs and L's right now. And then at the end, we'll do a Dear Abby. So, really fast. Dubs, well, okay, an L has been, my eyesight has been poor the past like 6 months. It's progressively gotten worse. I've never really had any problems with my eyes except for astigmatism. And I got glasses for this a long time ago, and then I lost them after like a year and a half. And it's not bad enough to where I can't see. It's specifically when I'm looking at a screen or something that's like this close in front of me, or a book. My eyes, I guess, are unaligned. So I'm looking past. They don't align where they're supposed to, basically. My left eye tries to get to where something's wrong with it. So my left eye is a little bit of a dummy and can't catch up to the right. So that's pretty much what happens in my eyes when I read stuff, or when I'm on my iPad, or when I'm gaming, or when I'm working. So my eyes have been seriously, like, I'm hyper fixated on my eyes regardless, but now especially because my eyes are irritated a lot and I have headaches, like tension headaches, and my neck hurts a lot, and I have all these weird symptoms, and I thought maybe it was just because I was tense, which I probably still am. So that's an L. But then the dub, to finish the story, the dub is, the crazy part, I went to an eye doctor because all of these symptoms, and I knew I had astigmatism because I got told I had it like a couple years ago. So I was like, okay, I think that's maybe what's happening, but I'm not really sure if I still have it. I don't really know exactly what that is. So went to an eye appointment. I always hate the part where if you've never been to an eye doctor before, there's a point where they have this now they have like a little air gun, and they go right up to your eye, and you're not really supposed to blink because they're trying to catch like I don't know if it's your reaction. I don't know what they're testing, but their eye pressure or something. I don't know. Are they just testing how fast you are at closing your eyes? I don't really know what they're testing. Are they testing your anxiety, and are you able to keep your eye open? Other than that, eye appointments aren't that bad. It's just always uncomfortable when someone's like, just focus on your eyeballs. I don't know, because it's like the eyes go right to the soul. So when your eyes are open, you feel like you're exposed to everything. When you close your eyes, it's more safe, you know? So we do the first part of the eye exam, and I haven't been in a long time. Okay, so maybe everyone already knows this if you go, but then we get to this room, and she has a VR set, and she puts the VR set on my head, and I was like, okay, are we going off the plank? Am I playing the plank game? Which, by the way, that game is really fun, but it makes me so sick. It makes me so sick. The fact that you can just fly around with little jets and then draw in the sky, I mean, come on. If they can make it up to where you don't feel sick, even though I don't know how that's possible, but if they can make it to where you don't have motion sickness when you do VR, that will be amazing. Also, the next best game, obviously Beat Saber is fun, but the Star Wars games, actually, the best VR, I'll get back to the story in a second. I'll get back to it in a second. The best VR game that I've ever played was downloaded on a little bit of a sketchy website. I don't really remember, but it was for an Attack on Titan game, and you basically zip around and you have to slice the Titan's napes, the back of the neck. If you don't know, that's the only way that they can be killed. So it's pretty freaky because they are walking around and they're huge, and you are the size of a normal person, but you have all of the gear, and you just zip past them, and then you zip to their neck and you go, and then you jump to the next one. It's the most fun I've ever had in a VR game. Back to the story. She's like, okay, you're going to see a little genie, and the genie will walk you through the exam. I was like, okay. Puts the VR headset on. The genie starts talking to me saying, welcome to your eye exam. We will be walking you through this step-by-step, blah, 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 telling me what I'm about to do. Then make sure the headset's on right. Perfect. Because there's actually nothing more annoying than when your VR headset is not resting perfectly on your head, and when it's like a little bit blurry, or when it has to be perfectly set or it drives you nuts. So put that on, perfect. Start the exam. And it was so weird because it basically just shows you, like, okay, you do far sight. So then I don't know how they calculate this, if they're watching my eyes while I'm playing this game or I'm looking at this stuff. It goes farsighted and they have stuff moving in the background, but you're only supposed to stare at this one point during the whole exam and not like look away, because you're supposed to focus on it. Then they'll do like close-sighted, and then they'll have stuff in the background. So it's like your eyes, like, it's kind of crazy because you can feel your eyes. It's like when you actually are using a camera, how the lens is like, like it's like correcting to how to, it's crazy that your eyes do that automatically. It's freaking crazy. And so while she was doing it, my eyes are trying to focus. I can tell where my stigmatism came into play, because it was actually like, I felt like my left eye was like just doing weird stuff. Like I just feel like my eyes were not aligning at all, and I couldn't get them to align. If she has a video of what my eyes looked like, I want to see it, because that would look so funny. When I got to the end of the actual eye exam on the VR, the genie came back, and I went back to the main menu, which is like a little tent thing, and she was like, well done. It does seem like you have blah, 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 stigmatism. This means, and then you go, and then it showed me this whole diagram and this whole presentation, like visual presentation of what's wrong with my eyes. Like gave me all this information, and then had all of my symptoms that I had put into like a survey. It had all my symptoms pop up and was like, this could be the cause of this. And then that was it. She took it off, and then the doctor came in, and then she prescribed whatever. And then I had to pay for glasses, which I do have vision insurance, vision medical insurance. It doesn't cover a lot, so I had to pay a bunch of money still for my glasses. Again, one of those months of just paying everything. It's one of those months where you're just in the negative, and that's okay. That's life. Eventually I'll be in the positive. That's okay. I'm not stressed. So that's the dub part. It was actually pretty cool that they have that in a VR headset. And I'm excited to get my glasses, because it'll make drawing on my iPad, playing video games, working my 8-hour shift staring at a computer so much better, and my headaches will hopefully go down. My dryness, my redness, all of that stuff will hopefully decrease, is the goal. I have pretty good eyesight other than that. I will say I'm grateful, because my mom is as blind as a bat, and I think my dad is too. For some reason, everyone else in my family has like glasses. Actually, none of my siblings do, but both of my parents have horrible vision. Which, growing up, you just think everyone has bad vision, because it feels like every adult had glasses. I don't know. It's kind of weird that none of their kids, me and my siblings, none of us really have bad eyesight. You know, we have pretty good eyesight for the most part. Okay, so let's get into burnout, shall we? So the reason why I wanted to do this episode was because I've been experiencing a lot of burnout, and it's something I'm not really used to experiencing, to be honest, because I've never really like worked so hard and so long and so all over the place for as long as I have recently without getting anything in return, pretty much. So when I have been working like a job since I was probably 14, I think, or 15, 14 or 15, I became like a lifeguard. And then I would just do that up until when I was 20, when I was 18, I think was my last year, or 19. I've always had a job. I know how to work. I know how to work hard. I have a good work ethic. I'm great at being told what to do at work. If you tell me what to do, I will get it done. I will get it done as fast as I can and efficiently. After my divorce, I got a surge of energy and a surge of motivation to start all these new things. So maybe this was a trauma response. I don't really know what it is. I don't really truly care what like the reason for it is, because this was just the reality is I felt like doing so many more. I felt like doing so much more with my life, I guess. So I want to talk specifically about financial success and career and, I don't know, just making good money and being able to support and sustain your life. I was especially motivated because a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks, I think it was like a week and a half, maybe even less than a week. I don't really remember. It's been a long time. But a week before my ex-husband just up and left, it was requested that I pay his taxes off from his like contracting job, or I don't remember what he was doing, but he didn't pay taxes all year. So I paid off his taxes, put a down payment on a car for him, his car, and I also paid off his school loans. Okay. This was all, I'm not kidding, like a week and a half before he left. That was thousands and thousands of dollars that at that time I didn't have no money. I mean, we were living with my parents. We were saving money. So I had a lot in savings and I was doing pretty good financially. I had no problem paying it because I'm like, oh, we're married. Like I don't even think twice. Like it's our money, whatever. Then after he left, I was like a lot of money short from what I had before. And it went to someone who totally took advantage of me financially. I've never had someone mooch off of me financially, and it did not feel good because that was like hard-earned money, obviously, and I'm a good saver. And when you put, a lot of money into someone else's career and someone else's things and someone else's car, and you trust that they won't take advantage of that, but then it was taken advantage of, that specifically motivated me to make a ton of money. It just made me want to be successful enough to make good money for myself and my family. So anyways, after all of that, I very quickly moved to California with my dog that I don't have anymore, but I moved here with my dog by myself in an apartment, and it was close to my sister. My sister didn't live in the apartment complex. She lived like a little bit down the road, but I was like, okay, I'm just going to move there by myself because I have been through hell recently, and I feel like I can conquer anything at this point. Did not have as much in savings at this point as I did a month prior for the reasons I stated at the beginning. I just had like a job, like a normal job. Normal job, didn't pay super high, didn't pay super low, just chilling. Didn't really know anyone except for my sister. And I started posting a lot I just started posting a lot on my Instagram and doing more kind of trendy things because I was like, oh, maybe I can make money. I know a lot of people around me that are like influencers, or they, are business people, and they make money through content creation and stuff like that. I was like, maybe I want to do that. So I started posting more. I started working with brands, like just doing small little stuff. I didn't make any money from that. It was all just it's all just gifting. It was all just gifting and stuff like that. So I started to try to work on an online presence, whatever that means. Not the most comfortable thing for me to do. I still have a very hard time doing it because it just feels so unnatural to me, some of the stuff, and it's just hard to post a ton. Then obviously I started my podcast very soon after I moved. Actually, before I started my podcast, I started streaming on Twitch for a couple hours, I think every other day. Sometimes it was every day of the week, but then it started getting just a couple days of the week for hours. I made like $50 from that, which was cool to get any money from that because I just thought it was fun. I game anyways, like at the end of the day. So it was cool to make $50 from that. But I was also streaming for probably a year at that point, and I only had made $50, which is not nothing. And I'm grateful for that. And some people do it for a lot longer. But then I was also doing my podcast. And so I was not making anything. So I was grinding on those. And then I quit the stream because I still had my full-time job while also doing both of these things. And then I got exhausted from that, and I got burned out from streaming because I was doing my podcast and I was like, I'm like talking too much. Like I'm sick of hearing myself talk. Kept podcasting, still had my full-time job, and then also doing the side project and also doing the side business. And then some of that stuff came to like a pause, but I kept doing the podcast. Then I got fired. So then I had to find another job, and all still while doing the side project, side business and the podcast, and then looking for a job. Now I have a job, normal 9 to 5, and now it's closer to what I want to do for my career. And so I'm grinding in that. And then I also am still doing the podcast, still trying to post, promote, edit, all of this stuff, which it takes longer than you would think if you don't have someone editing and like posting and stuff for you, and getting signed or getting sponsorships and stuff. I don't know how to do that stuff, to be honest. Anyways, I could go on and on and on, but basically I've just invested, and a lot of these things cost money. So I invested a lot of time and money and mental energy into a lot of different things. And it's been a couple years and I still haven't really seen the results that I had hoped for, that I had dreamed of. It's just felt like 2 years of really putting my head down and just grinding away. I still have fun, but usually on Saturdays I work most of the day, and Sundays are my day off 100%. Well, like 90% of the time. I get home from work and I'm working on something else. It's not because I'm forced to, and it's not because I love doing it. It's mostly just because I want to be able to help support a family and not be stressed about money. I live in California and I don't want to move away, but maybe I will someday if I have to. But I want to try to grind and make it work here somehow. I've been feeling the burnout recently because I've been healthier and feeling better. And for some reason, that just makes me feel less like I have to grind to prove anything. I don't know. I'm like more okay with just being still and chilling. But on the other hand, I do really think the grind, whatever that is, I know there's a lot of opinions about like if it's positive, negative. I don't think it's that black and white. I think it can be so positive, because if you think about people who have changed their lives around, it's not just because they got lucky. It's like maybe 2% of luck, but then they grind for a long time and they don't really expect that much in return. They're just like, you freaking work hard at what you want. You get what you give. You get experience, you get opportunities, you get understanding, you get wisdom, whatever it is, you still get something in return for the work that you put in. I love the grind. I believe in the grind till a certain point. I think there's a healthy way to grind. I don't feel the need to grind my whole life. That doesn't sound nice to me, but I'm okay grinding for a little bit and then reaping the benefits of that grind. You know what I mean? America. Okay, so if you're like me and you had been grinding away for a long time with a million different things, this is my advice. Coming from someone who hasn't figured anything out yet and is still doing the things that aren't helpful, this is what I think I'm going to do. Just pick 2 things. I'm doing too much. I'm not going to quit the podcast, but I've got to narrow stuff down, because I'm like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Something that I've been taught lately is that just because it's a career, and even if you like the career, it's not going to be the thing that like totally fulfills you for the most part. Life is too complicated. There's too many moving parts, and your career is not the only thing that will ever satisfy you. But obviously you want to at least enjoy what you do to some extent, even if you're tired a lot of the time, or you don't want to go to the office, or you don't want to get on the computer and you don't want to work. Welcome to the club. But I think narrowing it down, picking the things that you can make money and that you like to do, so that way you're not putting your eggs into every single basket. I think I just need to narrow down, stick with 2 things, kind of opposite things, but maybe 2 things, full force into it. Easier said than done, but because now I'm like, okay, my career won't satisfy me. I need a lot of other different, a balance of a lot of things to feel pretty okay and pretty happy in my life. I'm not expecting perfection. I'm not expecting endless. I'm never going to feel sad again or never going to feel burnt out again. That's inevitable. But I think narrowing things down, making things simpler for you and simpler in your life will inevitably make things so much better, and will take this constant overwhelming energy off of your plate and off of your mind. I think because in your 20s, you're trying to plan your career, your life. Maybe other people have already had it figured out, but some people don't figure it out until you're older. But just because you're starting something right now, this is what me and my boyfriend were just talking about, because it's hard for me to choose something because I want to do a million different things. I think I would enjoy a lot of different things. He was helping me understand that Just because you're doing something right now and you work towards one thing doesn't mean you're stuck doing that for the rest of your life. Maybe people will disagree, but I think for the most part, if you're working in a career that maybe you don't love and you feel like you're too far gone into it, I totally disagree, because I think you can still work that job while maybe slowly going to school for something else, or every night you spend an extra hour, 2 hours on this side thing that you maybe want to get into, and you can slowly change your career path. It's hard work and it might take a little bit extra time, and you might be like, oh, you didn't waste anything, because now you know what you want to do. And there's no point in even looking in the past now, because you're still alive and you're still doing something that you want to do now, or you're working towards something. And weirdly, I know this sounds like really paradoxical, and I'm not the first person to ever say this, obviously. Everything I'm saying, I'm regurgitating. One of the things I will regurgitate to you like a mama bird is you got to let go. I really believe you got to let go of like the outcome in order to really enjoy your life. When you're obsessing over the end goal, obviously that's where we start to go wrong and where we get overwhelmed, because we're always thinking about where we're lacking instead of finding the joy in learning and finding the joy in discovering things about yourself, about others, about your career, and learning as you go. And I think that's something that I'm really bad at, because I try to be perfect in whatever I'm doing. I think I overthink it and I over perfect it, and I try to perfect it. And it's not in like a good, healthy way. It's in like an obsession to try to prove something, or it's trying to be enough, or it's trying to not have to experience someone saying they don't like my work, or someone saying, hey, you made a mistake, because I don't want to handle that. I'm trying to learn how to be able to handle critiques and handle feedback and handle someone saying, this isn't that good, and being like, oh, okay, I didn't die, I'm okay. So I think letting go, obviously, of perfection is very, very helpful, and the expectation and just a constant comparison as to what we're lacking, as to where we are now, to where end goal is, and what we're lacking, and hyperfixating on that. Obviously, it's helpful to find, okay, what can I do better at? Great, that's how you learn. But there's like a deeper layer that I think needs to be let go of to be able to really learn and grow in one area or one career. Obviously, other things with burnout is to be healthy about it. Get good sleep. If sometimes you don't get good sleep because you're on a roll and you're super focused, then maybe stay up a little bit later that night. Get a lot of stuff done, and that way the next day you can relax a little bit, and then you can compensate for the late nights. Some of the best work I've done has been pretty late at night, and I'm not mad about it. Maybe that's bad advice, but I think get good sleep for the most part, unless you're really crushing some stuff. Then I think it's okay. Some things also I think I'm learning can just be a hobby. I have a weird thing of wanting to turn every hobby into something career-wise, when in reality, it's okay to just have a hobby, to just enjoy doing something without anything in return. Like you're not going to get paid for it. You're not going to show anyone. You're not going to do anything with it. You just do it because you like it. I think burnout happens when you don't just do stuff because you want to do it and because it brings you joy. So that's burnout for you. I'm not quitting the podcast, by the way. I think to show up better for everything that I'm doing right now, I need to narrow things down and just simplify my life. And I'll get there. Life is hard. No one understands really anything. Nobody knows as much as they let on. I don't know anything. I really don't know anything. Everything that I say on my podcast is pretty much guessing for the most part. We know a lot of stuff, but we don't know everything. Okay, let's do a Dear Abby, and then we will end the episode. Thanks for listening. Hi, this is a text. Hi, Abby. Do you have any tips or deal breakers when it comes to finding the right therapist for you? I've currently been through 2 different therapists now, and it just doesn't feel right. I don't know if I'm being too picky or what. Also, how long should I invest to a therapist until knowing to move on to a new one? Appreciate any insight on finding the right therapist. Sending lots of love from Canada. Oh, that's kind of crazy. So this is a tricky one because therapists are important, and I do feel finding the right therapist is really important, I will say, because I've gone through a lot of therapists at this point in my life. Even though sometimes the therapy is the same, having a therapist that for some reason just asks the right questions, knows when to say something, when to listen, notices certain things about you, knows how to make you feel totally comfortable. It's hard, but it's really important to find. I don't think you should make yourself feel like you're being too picky ever, because with a therapist especially, this is someone that you're opening up the most vulnerable parts of you to, most likely. So you should be a little bit picky, and it's okay to be hesitant at first to open up. I don't see a problem in that. I'm glad that I kind of kept to myself a little bit with some therapists, just because later on I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of glad that I never shared, or sometimes I've overshared. Then I realize, I don't know, I didn't really like that therapist. A really good therapist will obviously ask you a lot of questions, but they're not asking you questions to then already have a response that they want to say to you. I feel like the best therapists just ask questions and they really listen and they really try to understand. You can tell a difference with how eager they are to respond. Sometimes I've felt that my therapists don't really care about me. Like I'm just another client to them. And I get it, because how can you make every single person feel like you care about them during session? But I do feel like there's special therapists out there, and especially for you specifically, who can and will care. You'll just feel it because of how they listen, how they validate, and how they help with everything. And they really do get to the bottom of things with you in your own time. And they don't try to force anything or rush into anything. They're kind of in it for the long run. They're also making sure you're getting out of your comfort zone, but they're not pushing boundaries. My therapist that I have right now is my favorite therapist I've ever had. I've made more breakthroughs with her than with any other therapist. And it's because I genuinely feel like she cares about me. So I feel safe telling her a lot of these things. And she's never made me feel like she's rushed to fixing me. Like I never feel like I'm in a rush to get fixed. I feel like she's eager to actually really deeply help me. She's not trying to turn me into her. She's not trying to turn me into someone else. She's just trying to help me. A lot of therapists that you don't mesh with, it has nothing to do with them being like a bad therapist. I think it's just personality wise. And with this therapist that I have now, it's taken a long time to find one that I really, really, really like. And it did kind of feel like from the very beginning, I liked her energy. So as silly as it might sound, I totally believe that you can just catch a vibe. You can catch someone's energy. So if you are on a call with your therapist and you're like 20 minutes in and you don't really like their energy, they seem too much in a rush. They seem like they're not really paying attention to you. They're not calm. I personally don't like those therapists, and I would find someone that your energy matches and also that their energy is comforting to you, because you can trust yourself. You can trust your like instincts, your intuitions with people energetically. Sometimes maybe we're wrong, but I think for the most part, that's a good way to trust. Don't worry about being too picky. You won't hurt their feelings. And even if you do hurt their feelings, it's okay. This is your mental health. This is your vulnerability. So it's okay to be picky. Don't get discouraged if you can't find one. It took me a long time, and you'll be okay in the meantime. Hopefully that was of any help. Okay, cool. So that is it for this week's episode. Hopefully this was a decent episode. I sometimes just feel like every episode I have is just sucks so bad. Do you know how many times after I've recorded, I just think, that was so stupid. That was such a dumb episode. But then I get good feedback and I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it wasn't that bad. But then for some reason, when I'm talking, I just feel like, what the F are you saying? I just think you sound like a moron. We're going to wrap things up. So if you guys want to support the podcast, like, subscribe, comment on YouTube. You can leave a rating or review on Spotify or Apple. Spotify also has a review. Wait. Spotify asks a question that says, what did you think about this episode after every episode? And you can answer with how you think and how you felt about the episode. And you can be honest with me. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. That's support enough. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Go do something fun. Take Sunday off. And love ya. Bye. 우회전 taking a ride to join a lake.
눈치 보면서 들어가 할 때 찾아 나머진